A very good evening to one and all gathered here. Parental love is the only love that is truly selfless, unconditional, and forgiving. With this beautiful quote, I, Deepa Sequeira, class teacher of class KG1B, on behalf of management, our respected principal, Reverend Father Melvin Anil Lobo SJ, and all my colleagues, extend a gracious welcome to today's resource person, Ma'am Dr. Shalini Ayyappa, and to you all, dear parents, for the first PT meeting of the academic year 2021-22. We appreciate you, dear parents, for taking off your busy schedules to join us today. Welcome all. Prayer is not asking. Prayer is putting oneself in the hands of God, at His disposition and listening to His voice. At the depth of our heart. Before we begin today's program, let us invoke God's blessings upon us with a prayer song.
भंवर के बीच में तू कहता है थम जा,
तू मेरी ताकत है, तू ही मेरा ईमान।
भंवर के बीच में तू कहता है थम जा,
तू मेरी ताकत है, तू ही मेरा ईमान। बीत कल में तू साथ मेरे था,
आज भी मेरे साथ है खड़ा, आने वाले कल में भी होगा। उठते हुए उफानों में तू ही मेरी चट्टान, बढ़ती हुई लहरों पे तेरे कदमों के निशान। बीमारियों में तू कहता है उठ जा,
यहोवा राफा,
तू ही मेरी शिफा। बीमारियों में तू कहता है उठ जा,
यहोवा राफा,
तू ही मेरी शिफा। बीते कल में तू साथ मेरे था, आज भी मेरे साथ है खड़ा, आने वाले कल में भी होगा। उठते हुए उफानों में तू ही मेरी चट्टान, बढ़ती हुई लहरों पे
Thank you, Ma'am Shweta, for that beautiful prayer song. The wearer of smiles and the bearer of a kindly disposition needs no introduction, but is welcome anywhere. Now, may I request Ma'am Rupa to welcome the gathering.
Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. With this quote, I, Rupa D'Souza, feel delighted to welcome each one of you to this parent-teacher meeting for the academic year 2021-22. Today we have amongst us an eminent personality, Dr. Shalini Ayyappa, the Assistant Professor and Head of the Department of Psychology at St. Aloysius College, Mangaluru. As the chief guest of today's program, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome and introduce Dr. Shalini Ayyappa to the gathering. Dr. Shalini completed her doctorate in psychology with a special focus on adolescent psychology in 2015 under Mangalore University. She has been conducting many workshops, seminars, lectures, all India radio talks on various psychology related topics for the past 10 years, which has benefited many students, parents, and teachers. She is the trustee at Prajna Counseling Center since 2005, member of American Psychological Association, and life member of Indian School Psychology Association. Dr. Shalini has the credit of presenting innumerable research papers in national and international level journals. She is an ongoing learner and continues to do research in her field. We are truly blessed to have Dr. Shalini Ayyappa as a resource person for our parent-teacher meeting today. Hearty welcome you, ma'am. I extend a hearty welcome to our dear principal, Reverend Father Malvin Anil Lobo SJ, who encourages creativity, builds confidence, and instills a love for learning. Welcome, Father.
Thank you.
I am extremely pleased to welcome our Vice Principal, Mrs. Laurel D'Souza, who is a source of support to us. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I express my cordial welcome to all the teachers who plant the seeds of knowledge, love, and patiently nurture their growth to produce tomorrow's dreams. Welcome, dear teachers. At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success in the positive involvement of parents. A warm welcome to all the dear parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Rupa. A leader is the one who lights the path to the impossible and takes those who follow to great heights. May I request our Honorable Principal, Reverend Father Melvin Anil Lobo SJ, to address the gathering.
Good evening, parents, and welcome to this parent-teachers meeting. First of all, I would like to thank you for all of you for setting aside your busy schedule and being present for this evening session. It is wonderful that we are all together trying to understand our situation and at the same time help our children. I would like to begin with the context that we are in. First of all, the context of the pandemic. COVID-19 has struck the world last year and it is going on. Already 2 waves are over and one more is expected. We do not know whether it will really hit us, but it is there. However, we know the learning has continued and we are trying to help ourselves and our children in terms of learning. It has been a challenging time for all, to especially the students, the teachers, the parents, the management, everyone are in a way trying to face this challenging time. As long as physical classes are not available, there is a need to adapt ourselves to the situation and make best use of the best of the situation that is there. The second context is the National Educational Policy 2020. As you know, Government of India has brought out new educational policy, and there are many things in that. Already a webinar has been conducted for all the parents last year. However, I would like to highlight few key aspects of this which are very important and which will come into existence soon. One is the academic structure, that is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. What does that 5 mean? It is foundational 5 years, pre-primary, pre-KG, KG1, KG2, KG, class 1 and class 2. These are 5 classes. Preparatory 3 years, that means class 3 to 5. Middle school 3 years, class 6 to 8. Secondary 4 years, class 9 to 12. So this is the academic structure. Now, as you know, already we have KG1 to class 10. Pre-KG was already introduced 2 years back, and we have just kept it on suspension until the corona or the pandemic gets over. Once that is over, once again we will continue with the pre-KG. As children are very small, we have not continued with it. Class 11 and 12, we have already obtained the permission to begin class 11, and 2020, 22, 23, we will begin the class 11 in St. Aloysius Gonzaga School. Skill courses to be introduced by the school from class 6 to 8 and 11 to 12. They are not mandatory, but we are all encouraged to start them. We are also encouraged, rather these NAP is advocating lot of innovative pedagogies to be introduced, so that we move from rote learning to meaningful learning, and many of these are being implemented in our school. The third context is we are also celebrating 500th anniversary of the founder, especially his conversion. Founder is none other than St. Ignatius of Loyola. He is the founder of the organization, the Society of Jesus, that is well known as Jesuits. As we know, St. Ignatius of Loyola is remembered in history for counter reformation. He is the one who started modern education in Europe, and all the members were involved in the school education, college education, etc. And they were titled as schoolmasters of Europe. What is the significance of this 500th anniversary? It is a celebration of this wounding of Saint Ignatius of Loyola in 1521 in the Battle of Pamplona, and followed by that is his conversion. So this year is celebrated as the Ignatian year by the organization. So it is time to reflect on the life transforming education provided by the organization. As you know, world over, there are 3,897 educational institutions in 96 countries. There are 29,28,806 students studying in all these institutions. We have in India 363 educational institutions run by the Jesuits, 11,525 teachers, and 3,34,538 students. And among these, Gonzaga students are also included. What is important is that one man's transforming experience 500 years back having an impact on the world, and it continues to have that impact because of the things that he has started, and how his thinking and spirituality influencing the people. So definitely the ones who are studying in schools and colleges will have that impact of being transformed, and they being the torch bearers of the society. That is what the education that we would like to impart, and we would like the institutions, especially the students who go through the institution, have it. The second aspect that I would like to highlight to you, dear parents, is learning and well-being during the pandemic. As you know, there is pandemic, but at the same time during this pandemic, how we could balance learning along with well-being. Both these aspects have to be there and they need to be balanced. We cannot give up learning uh, though there is pandemic. We need to keep up health well-being. So I have these 7 points at your I would like to propose to you. First one is creating a learning environment at home, especially, as you know, the home itself is becoming the school, and in that case, especially to create certain learning environment, maybe a specific place for the child to sit and perhaps a given time for the study, so that the child knows that it's a place, a space created for it to study, to learn. Secondly, to motivate, encourage, and appreciate your child. Motivate your child as much as possible into study, to learning. Encourage when, when you get situations, to encourage and appreciate when the child has done well, when it is doing well, or it has accomplished something. Appreciate. Thirdly, to talk and recreate, because it is important to connect with the child. Social connectivity. You need to spend a lot more time with the child. At the same time, certain amount of fun and recreation. Fourthly, to take care of your health and health of your own children. Important during this pandemic. Three things are important. One thing is healthy food, sleep routines, and exercise. These definitely help us to keep ourselves healthy. Fifth aspect is the children learn from children. So therefore, if there are siblings there, maybe perhaps the elder sibling can definitely help the younger ones in learning things. So let that happen. Let that happen in the at home of the elder sibling helping the younger one. Parents as partners with teachers. You are partners, and at this juncture, you are especially would like to say your partner, because there is that continuation of learning has to take place at home at present juncture, and therefore you can connect always to the teachers and help your child, and we are also there as teachers to help you in terms of continuing the education of your ward. For working parents, it's a difficult time, but at the same time, there are helps and supports that are given to you, and maybe after the work or before the work, to see that your child studies something, learns something, or maybe at the end of the day you sit with your child and see, make sure that whatever the day's learning is taken forward. The third aspect, I would like to start with the kindergarten section. First of all, the curriculum that is there for KG1. Uh, Definitely, the teachers would have told, but just to highlight, the students will learn three core subjects here: literacy, numeracy, and environmental science. In literacy, we have orals, able to say letters A to Z and its sounds, writing the letters of the alphabet A to Z. Numeracy, orals, able to say 1 to 100 and write 1 to 50. Environmental science, GK, identification of pictures related to nature around us, and simple conversation. In addition to these core subjects, they also learn coloring, craft, rhymes, storytelling. So all this will be part of the curriculum of KG1. What about KG2? In KG2, children will learn literacy, 2-letter and 3-letter words with phonics, sight words, short vowel and long vowels, sounds, nouns, articles, action words, framing sentences, self-introduction, etc. In numeracy, they will also learn basic concepts related to numbers 1 to 100. They will learn to write all the numbers till 100, number names, addition and subtraction. In EVS, basic topics of EVS: picture identification, writing words related to each topic. Hindi, there is an introduction of Hindi, Varnamala in Hindi, Swarakshar, A to A, Vyanjanakshar, Ka to La. Okay, so all these will be taught in KG2. In terms of evaluation, KG1, it will be a guided evaluation. Literacy and numeracy evaluation will be only orals in term 1, both oral and written in term 2. EVS only orals. Drawing, coloring, storytelling, story narration, rhymes, sing with action. In KG2, the evaluation will be a guided evaluation. Literacy, numeracy, EVS and Hindi evaluation will be only orals in term 1. Orals and written in term 2. Drawing, coloring, storytelling, story narration, rhymes, sing with action. So these will be a sort of a short kind of evaluation, how much they have learned, how much learning outcome has taken place. In terms of co-curricular activities, we want our children participate actively in all the activities conducted in the class. Parents are requested to guide the students to do the craft taught in the class. Craft will be taught to them. Parents are requested to encourage the students to learn to color, sing rhymes, and to narrate the stories taught. We have some expectation from you parents with regard to the children. First of all, make sure that breakfast is finished before the class. The class begins at 8:30, so that children are ready with they finish the breakfast and are ready for the class. Neatly dressed and hair combed. We know that it is 8:30, but we also request like no, the children are ready, neatly dressed. This will help them in terms of once they come to the school as well. Certain punctuality and regularity in attending the classes. Punctuality to be there by 8:20 somewhere, and regularity, that means regularly attending daily or whenever the classes are there, to be there present. Maintaining silence while attending the class. Following the instruction given by the teacher during the class. Muting and unmuting the audio and video as per teacher's instruction. Teacher will give the instruction and to follow them. Should keep all the required things for the class before joining the class and not to run after, like no, in between the class. Should sit in a proper posture in the class. Make sure that your child also sit properly and a place is given to the child and attends the classes. So these are few things that we would like to highlight for the KG parents and through you to your children. Class 1 and 2. With regard to the curriculum, class 1 and 2, school follows CBSE curriculum with the activity based teaching. We have two parts in the curriculums, scholastic areas and co-scholastic areas. Scholastic areas, we have these 5 subjects. We have language 1 for them, that is English, and the book that is followed is Flowers. We have 2 semesters, semester 1 and semester 2. Language 2 is Hindi. We follow Rim Jim 1 and 2 for both. 1 is for class 1, 2 is for class 2. And NCRT books, these are NCRT books. Language 3, that is Kannada and Kali Kannada. First book 1 is for class 1 and book 2 is for class 2. It is prescribed by the State Department. Mathematics book is Flowers, semester 1 and semester 2. Environmental science book Flowers, semester 1 and 2. So these are all given to you. Kindly follow this curriculum as it is taught to your wards. Coming to the second part of the curriculum, that is co-scholastic areas, we have 3 aspects prescribed by the CBSE. First one is art, step-by-step drawing for first standard first book and the second standard second book. SUPWs, we have talent hut book and A is for class 1, B is for class 2. Health and physical education, the teachers, the PE teacher will teach yoga and some exercises even on online classes are going on. So it is been done and it will continue. From the school side, we also teach the students computer through the book Hyperlink, GK classes, time for class 1 and 2. These two books are there. One is for class 1, 2 is uh, for the second standard. We also teach the students music. The moral education is just kept on hold. We will see when the appropriate time comes, we will also start moral education. A few things I would like to highlight in terms of the curriculum and following up about the academics. One thing is the punctuality and regularity. As I already said, these are important things that students are there right at the time at 9 o'clock, and the regularity every day they are present there. Interaction and participation during the class, that is asking questions, clarification, wishing, and if they have doubts to sort of ask the teachers. Notes will be shared through the Microsoft Teams. Parent support and guidance is very important at this age, because class 1 and 2 students find difficult to get into the class. Once they are in, they will be able to handle. So to be there present at least in the beginning, and later on definitely they can handle, but afterwards once again they need support. So parent support and guidance is required. Setting aside a regular time for school work and study. Make sure that during the day at least some time is given, a specific time is given for school work and a little time for study. Create that school time. Say in the evening you give 1.5 or 2 hours to for the study, for the child to do the class work or school work, and also at times for little study. Give your assistance and monitoring of your child. Activities, assignments to be submitted on time. Like lot of activities will be given, assignments are given for the children, small activities and assignments, very interesting ones, and they should be submitted on time. A little practice of maths will go a long way. Yeah, because that is the foundation. Now what you teach is a foundation for the child for the later years. So please make sure that your child learns the mathematics, that are the math sums that are taught now. Language classes, as far as possible, let the children interact in the same language. Like if it is Hindi, let them talk in Hindi. So also if it is English, Kannada, let them try in Kannada. In terms of assessment, the assessment for class 1 and 2 is based on term-wise system. You are already familiar with it. There are two terms in the academic year, one term 1 and term 2. Both put together 50-50 marks. It will be 100 at the end of the year. A term consists of internal, we give 10 marks for internals, term exam 40 marks. Internals, what does internal consist of? 10 marks for notebooks, 10 marks for PT, periodic test, 10 marks for subject enrichment, which all that will be reduced to 10 marks. After answering the exam, clear images of the answer script should be sent to the assignment. Of course, the internals 10 marks, and then 40 marks are for the term exam. After answering the what we wish during this time of online classes, especially during the exam, is a certain amount of honesty and preparing well for the exams, as well as doing the subject enrichment activities well. In terms of co-curricular activities, we have different things. One is projects. Monthly projects are there. We had already had two of them. In the month of June, Nutrilite project. In the month of July, we had a Go Green Week. We also have during this whole year British Council project. Already KG students have gone through it, and class 1 and 2 will be announced later on, and it is spread to the whole year. You do not have to worry. When your turn comes, the teachers will inform and help the children to do this project. Why this project? Because it will help them to build up confidence. So also internationalism also develops in the children. We also have academic weeks: Science Week, Hindi Week, Kannada Week, Social Science Week, Maths Week. We also celebrate days and feasts like academic days, national days, institutional days, religious days, international days, etc. This year we will not have the ECA, that is extracurricular activities and clubs and association. They will be depending on the will be started as per the situation. So this year ECA fees have not been taken, and therefore it will not be held. With regard to the co-curricular activities, they are organized for the holistic development of the students. Therefore, encourage your ward to participate in various activities organized by the school. Students should participate in the activities using their own creative ideas as far as possible. School provides platform for students to exhibit their talents in various areas. Encourage maximum participation. All participants are provided with the e-certificate. At the end of the year, we also will give one hard certificate also, putting all the things together. Inform class teacher if your child has won any prizes in competition organized outside the school. We have some expectation as a whole, students should join the classes 5 minutes prior to the scheduled time, so that there is no hiccup as they join the class, they are prepared. Online classes purely depends on the internet connectivity, and therefore better to have sufficient data pack. Make sure that you have sufficient data in order that you are connected to the class. Students must follow guidelines given by the teacher for the smooth functioning of the class. Whenever teacher calls a particular child's name, he or she must respond and answer by turning the video on or audio on. Parents are requested not to interact with teachers during the online classes. Since you are sitting there, I request to refrain yourself talking directly to the teachers, because that disturbs. I would request you to call up the teachers after the class and follow up on whatever that is there. Kindly respond to the messages sent by the teachers through WhatsApp. Now we have three ways of communication. The school app is meant for mainly for to send the official communication from the school, especially the messages and the circulars. Whereas WhatsApp is mainly a follow up. There will not be kind of classroom work will not be sent there. But we have Microsoft Teams where all the classroom work, everything will be followed up there. So kindly make sure that all the classroom activities and related work of the class are taken care and as well as followed up in that platform. Check the school app regularly every day, at least once you open and see what has come. Okay, so these are some of the instructions I wanted to give to you, share with you. And at this moment I would like to thank all of you dear parents for being present and paying full attention to the session just now that has happened. And I request you to continue to be present for another 1 hour, and I'm sure definitely you will benefit out of it and truly be able to help your wards. So thank you once again for all of you for being present for this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Father, for your guidance. I consider it a great honor to welcome Ma'am Dr. Shalini Ayyappa to address the gathering. Dear parents, kindly note, at the end of the session, chat box will be enabled for 15 minutes. If you have any queries or questions, you can post it in the chat box. Thank you. Over to you, Ma'am Shalini.
Very good evening to all those who are present here. Reverend Father Melvin Lobo, the principal of Gonzaga School, teachers, and my dear young parents. Thank you. So, a very good evening to you all. It's very interesting that parenting as a topic is something that people really don't study under formal education. But then everybody expects parents to be great parents, to do wonders, not to make any mistakes, and at some point kind of they make them parents feel guilty also for not having done certain things in a certain way. I'm not talking any kind of a rocket science here. I'm just talking about how, as a parent, how did I provide this kind of a very safe, structured, supportive, and loving environment to my child? So maybe the next few minutes, I would just like to share my experience as a parent and how it can kind of make a difference in the lives of our children. All that we need to do is just provide a very safe, structured, supportive, loving environment. Now, how do we provide this to our children? Now, if you ask me, can one be a perfect parent? Definitely not. And those who believe in perfection definitely will take the joy out of parenting. Because in a bid to be a perfect parent, it is possible that the parent may overschedule the childhood, get into micromanaging the children, every little thing where you don't give them that independence and freedom to do things which will also give them confidence. You may even fail to see the emotional struggles of children. Now, if you ask me what kind of emotional struggles do little children have, of course, yes. Their struggles are, if the teacher says that I have to write the letter A, it should be rounded letters. Now I try my best, but I'm not able to make it round. It's an emotional struggle. But I'm not able to verbalize this because I don't have enough vocabulary, because I know that I'm addressing parents of kindergartners, so I know what it is. So I'm not able to get that nice round A or a O. Now it's a huge struggle because I'm not able to verbalize what my difficulties are here. Now when I cannot verbalize this, what happens? This stress of mine will manifest in other behaviors. So the child may start biting its nails. The child may refuse to go to school. Now, for a child to form these rounded letters, these fine motor muscles have to develop. It's only when these muscles develop, can I hold a pencil? Can I grip on a pencil? So at this stage, I think along with whatever is being given by the school, parents also should focus on giving the children a lot of pre-writing exercises. Now, I'm talking about these pre-writing exercises in the context of emotional struggles because in a bid to be a perfect parent, you may not notice this emotional struggle. Now, you need to give them a lot of pre-writing exercises here. And what are these exercises? You will see your children, if they find a sheet of paper, they will shred that into pieces. And when they shred that into pieces, you get very angry because you've dirtied the place. It's so much of work. It's a mess. But understand that in shredding the paper, the child is actually strengthening his or her fine motor muscles. Give them a piece of scissors and they love to cut. You give them something to draw. You make a kind of a boundary and you realize that they go out of their boundary. Now, they definitely will go out of this boundary. Their understanding of space, the grip on the pencil or the crayon, it's still developing. That's a reason why in the West, children are not given any writing not until they are about 6 or 7 years of age. But in India, I think it comes quite early. And today, with this whole system of preschool, and very interestingly, today, uh, if parents have to enroll their children into school, it cannot happen when the child reaches that particular age where the child is eligible for it. But very interestingly, parents have to even find a place and book a place even before the child is born. And this is not a joke, but this is reality. This is reality. I remember when I had to get my daughter enrolled into preschool, I went to a particular school, and when the person said, I'm so sorry, you're too late. I said, too late? My child is just about 2 years and 8 months. And then the person says, no, they book even before the child is born. And I said, anyway, thank you for that, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm definitely not in a hurry because I want my child to enjoy her childhood, because it comes only once. But it leaves a huge impact. It leaves a huge impact, because whatever that we are now today is definitely what has happened during our first, especially the first 6 years of life. So you still have a chance. Your children are probably 4 years, and maybe some of them are into formal schooling. Say even then it is about 7 years of age. So you still have a chance. So don't try to be a perfect parent, because then you will take the joy out of that. You will not be able to see their emotional struggles. You may also model unhealthy ways of responding to stress, criticizing the child, making comparisons. Maybe your intentions are good when you say, see, your older brothers, he did very well, he did this, he did that. Now, I think your intentions may be good, but for the child, you are actually kind of putting down the child's potentials. Now, this is where it's important for us to accept the children the way they are. And when we do this, we remove all that joy in the parenting that we experience, and also the joy that, that otherwise we would provide to our children. I think instead it's okay not to be a perfect parent, but a good enough parent. It is sufficient. This good enough parenting is enough. And if you're a good enough parent, you can actually raise your children to be confident, competent, and also resilient. And I think this resilience is very, very important today. Resilience is very important, and we need to bring up our children, help our children to be resilient. In times of adversities, they should not give up in life. And this is what we want our children to be. So, what is it to be a good enough parent? Now, this is what it is. It should not be like, if I had to raise my child all over again, there is no second chance. You should not be saying that if I had my child to raise all over again, it comes only once. Again, let it not be I would. Let it be you still have a choice, you still have a chance. Finger paint more and point finger less. So, how involved are we in our children's lives? But when I say involved, I do not mean that you need to be hovering over them, but when it's time for you to sit down and spend some time with the child, will you engage in this? Finger paint more and point finger less. I would do less correcting and more connecting. What's important in our parenting is this connection. The more you connect, the less trouble you have. Less peaceful will be your parenting. For you, it is peaceful, and so also for your child. At every point, it's important that we kind of try and connect to our children. But I think parents, they do spend a lot of time correcting them rather than connecting with them. And today, what I find is why this connection is losing, why parents are losing this connection is again because of technology. I find that a lot of parents are busy with technology, their YouTube, and recently I had this girl of say 22 years of age who just doesn't want to connect with her parent. And why she doesn't want to connect with her parent, why she wants to sever her connections with her parent is she feels that, when I speak to the mother and the father, well, they think that they have done it with all good intentions, but in the bargain, what they have done is they have suffocated them. Where children have not been given that freedom to think, children have not been given that space to do things, where they were made to feel good. And this 22-year-old wants to sever her connection for this reason. She says that it has been a horrible time for me right from the time I was small. Now, I don't think we want our children to say this. Now, this would happen if there is more of correcting and less of connecting. So I would do less correcting and more connecting. I would take my eyes off my watch. Today, I think any home would have not just one, but one on the wrist and a number of them on the walls. Because we live in a pressurized environment. It's like we want our children to grow up too fast. And that's exactly what is happening because of technology too. They are losing their childhood. So I would take my eyes off my watch and watch more with my eyes. You just have to sit down and watch the kind of things that they do, the kind of conversations that they have, the kind of play that they engage in. You actually can identify what is that one highlighting characteristic of your child or your strength of your child. You need not really worry about, what would my child do 10 years from now, 12 years from now. Now, if you want to guide your child what he or she would do 10 or 12 years from now, you can, if you're very observant, you can see what is that one characteristic or strength of your child. And connected to that strength, what are those opportunities that my child would have? What are those opportunities that my child would have? I would care to know less and know to care more. I mean, are you part of whatever games that they play? It's not that you need to be there all the time. Sometimes they would like to play on their own. There are times when they would like to play with their friends. There are times when they are playing on their own, their friends are also next to them, but two of them playing two different things. That's also perfectly fine. All this is a part of growing up. And there are times when they would also like you to be a part of that game. So I would take more hikes and fly more kites. I would stop playing serious and seriously play. I would run through more fields and gaze at more stars. How often do you do this? I remember I I took just take my daughter out for some kind of a trek, and I said definitely I can't think of a huge big place where I can go trekking with her, and I said Aloysius is the best place to trek because there are steps going down, steps going up, and then it's a huge place. And one day in the morning, she decided that she is going to go trekking, and she in her own imagination she kind of thought that trekking is maybe you need to carry a water bottle. So she carried a water bottle which she used to take to her school. And she wanted to dress in a certain way. I said, perfectly fine. You have to feel comfortable. Now, when I show her picture, she said, why did you allow me to dress up like this? I said, that's exactly what you wanted to do then. And you enjoyed it. And I took her, the entire place, going up and down, and then at some point sitting down because we were tired. Now, these are the memories. These are the memories that they need to carry. No, it's something very simple, but then it's very profound for the child. The time that you have spent, the conversations that you have, the kind of things that you come across, and then you stand there and you watch, you laugh, you talk. There's so much that happens. There's so much of socio-emotional connection that happens between you and your child. And I would be firm less often and affirm much more. I would build self-esteem. I think this is so important because that I is just developing now. So what you say, the messages that come, all this becomes a part of that child's self. So this is what ultimately helps the child to confidently face the world. Do I feel good about myself? Now, when I feel good about myself, I also have the confidence to handle things in life. So I would build self-esteem first and then the house later. I would teach less about the love of power and more about the power of love. And I think this is something that can be beautifully conveyed to the children depending on how the partners, the parents actually kind of approach each other, how they communicate with each other. Are there power struggles between the husband and wife? The child is noticing this. How do they resolve the conflicts between them? It's okay for the child to know that, yes, there are differences of opinion. But how do you handle your difference of opinion? Even if there is a difference of opinion, at the end of it, the child should feel that, yes, they have differences, but yet they still love each other. This is the message that children should constantly get. I'm not saying that don't have difference of opinion. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. Can you, even when you have a fight, can you still, when you understand that, your children are around you, can you still fight with each other with a smile, is my question to you. This is important because at that point, they get the message that, yes, there's something that they don't agree, but they still love each other. So it should not be where if I had to my child to raise all over again, just forget this I would and just do all of this. Finger paint more. Connect with them more. Watch more with your eyes. Care more. Just do all those little things which they enjoy doing. Just be a part of that. You need to seriously play. You need to do more of hugging and less of tugging. And then teach them less about the love of power and more about the power of love. Now, when you engage in this kind of parenting, you just have to be a good enough parent. This is all that you need to be. You just have to be a good enough parent. How do you do that? You just need to be a role model. That is it. When I say be a role model, they do as you do and not as you say. They do as you do and not as you say. I think that's a huge responsibility because they're constantly watching the parents. If we do not want them to engage in certain things, then we need to role model that to them. Let's keep in mind that they have a mind of their own. They have their own temperaments. They have their own personalities. They have their own goals. So even if you want to kind of push them onto a certain path, let's keep in mind, let's always start off with this in mind that they have their own dreams. We just need to provide an interface with the world that will prepare the child to be independent, and ultimately they will choose what they want to be. So if I do not want my child to say, use the phone, then I should also keep my phone aside. If I don't want my child to sit in front of the television, then I also have to give up on all those serials. However favorite that serial may be to you, still, you want your child to do certain things, then you will have to role model it. Say, for example, you want them to regulate their emotions, then you need to regulate your emotions. Then you need to stay calm. How do you manage when you get upset? Do you escalate the situation? Now, if you escalate the situation, the child is going to feel less safe, child is going to get very stubborn. If you stay calm to settle that storm, then you're going to open up that space for more meaningful conversation. So this is how the child also learns. If you want your child to eat healthy, because this is, these are all based on what parents generally complain about their children. My child doesn't eat healthy. Now my question to you is, what do you eat? You want your child to eat healthy, you want your child to read, then it's important that you create an environment where you're eating healthy, where there are a lot of books, that the child watches you reading. Now this is more important, because then you need to role model that. You drink soda, your child will drink soda. You take aerated drinks, your child will again take aerated drinks. Very often parents ask, where did you pick this behavior? Today's children will say, from you. It's the parents who role model these behaviors, because it's our habits which can be the sad legacy that we leave behind for our children. I think it's so important here that you have to be very careful as to what you say and what you do. More than what you say, it is what you do. They're constantly observing the parents. All you need to do at this point is be a role model. Just bond with your children. I think this is more important at this stage. And how do you bond with them? Through your daily activities, daily routine, daily rituals. It could be reading, it could be probably listening to something, it could be, maybe performing a very simple chore at home. Could be something like cutting vegetables, not during the class hours, because now classes are online. Don't call them while they are in the class. It's important that you start the day with positivity, because always understand that when children experience positive emotions, they approach what is being taught in the class or the learning also with the same kind of positivity. The learning is better when our emotions, when we experience more of positive emotions. It's not just with children, for all of us. And with children, let us understand that, let us start the day with some kind of positivity for them. And then end the day by just talking about, see, this is what you can do. End the day by talking about what happened, what did we do the entire day? How did it feel? Did you feel happy? Did you feel sad? Was it frustrating? Was it irritating? How was the day? What was something nice about what happened during the day? So I think begin the day with positivity, end the day with a good night. Because see, this is important for most. I'm not saying that this is how it's going to be every day. Maybe there are days when things can be a little rough, but for the most part of their growing years, if it can be this, then it will help them to establish that, a stability a more positive emotional outlook, because this is important for children. Their emotions are colored by our emotions. We are the ones who influence their emotions. If they learn to regulate their emotions in a certain way, they have observed how we do it. If we stay calm, they also learn to stay calm. If we throw things, then they also throw things. If they bang things, then they also bang things. So even when a child is upset, what is it that you need to do? All you need to do is just hold the child for a while. Just talk to the child very calmly till the emotion settles down. And then you can revisit whatever that issue was. Don't talk to the child in that moment when the child is angry or when the child is irritated. Just allow the child to kind of gather himself or herself, allow the child to just calm down and then revisit it. Because when you do that, you're also teaching the child as to how to manage these things in life. Because it's not about today, it's about the rest of the time, the rest of their lives. How are they going to manage? Because it's important that we also make them resilient. And for that, we need to do this. These are the 3 C's. If we want help, if we want to help children to be better adjusted, then these are the 3 C's that we kind of incorporate into our day-to-day conversations with our children through our actions. One is care, the second is consistency, and the third is choices. Consistency is where you kind of maintain a stable environment. It should not be where sometimes the parent shows a lot of love and affection. Other times there is absolutely no love and affection. I mean, this kind of a contradicting kind of an environment, a confusing environment, can create a lot of confusion in the child's mind. Care, consistency, and choice. Care is where you accept them. You shower them with affection. When I say shower them with affection, it is through your actions. How do you convey this when the child says, can you just help me with this? Now, if you can just, even if you are busy in the kitchen, if you can just put that down, come and sit next to the child, or just come in front of the child and say that, can you just give me a few minutes? I think I will finish this and get back to you. You are conveying that affection. You're conveying that care. And choices. It all begins here. A lot of times parents don't realize that you can have less trouble, especially when they reach the adolescent stage or the teen years, if you teach them about making choices. Now, when you allow them to make choice, one of the outcomes of that is they learn that whatever choice that I make, it is followed by a consequence. And the consequence could be both positive or negative. But the thing here is, then I also learn, the child also learns that to take responsibility for the choices that he makes. The child may ask for a ball. It's a very simple thing, yes. But here, if the child already has 2 or 3 at home, and it's just an interest, it's just an interest for the child to have another one, maybe because it's of a different color altogether, that's all. The same thing probably is there at home. Now, if you indulge in that, what happens? The child feels entitled, that I deserve it. When I ask for it, things will be given to me. Because you don't say no. And a lot of times parents refuse to say no. This is again what I hear from parents, that, oh, when I was a child, I was not given this, so I kind of need. I think you also need to teach your children that they need to earn it, even if you can afford. Maybe you can afford, yes. What they are asking for, you can afford, but not necessary that it has to be given to them. Because today he's asking for a small ball. When he reaches the adolescent stage, his demands become bigger. And if you don't teach the child to make these choices, to learn to take no, then when he or she reaches the adolescent stage, you will have a hard time. You definitely will have a hard time. Because I know of children and parents, and during the adolescent stage, they have caught hold of their father's collars and they've demanded things. Why? They have not denied them anything. They have made them feel that, yes, you're entitled. It's like the child will begin to think that I should get it. But if you teach them to make choices, now there's already a ball at home and there is something else. Now, one is, do you really want another one? If you want another one, what are the reasons for it? See, this is going to take a little more time on the part of the parents, because then you need to sit down, you need to talk, you need to make that effort. It's a lot of effort. So what happens, what I notice is, a lot of parents don't want to make this effort. They just kind of want to be done with it. So the child asks for something, let me give it. Or if I say no, the child will throw a tantrum. It's very embarrassing in public. So let me just buy that for the child. Now remember that children learn to manipulate. Children learn to, they learn quite early in life that this is what I need to do with this parent. If this is what I do with mama, then I get this. If I do this with dada, then I get this. And also here, remember, when it comes to making certain choices, it's also nice if parents are in tandem with each other. As in, if the child has approached the father can always say that, I think I will talk to mama and then we will decide whether it should be bought or not, whether it should be done or not. Or if the child has approached the mother, then the mother can say that, I will talk to daddy about it and then we will decide. This is something that children learn quite early in life. And if the couples are not in tandem with each other, then they know that if it is this particular thing, then I need to approach my mother. If it is this, then I need to approach the father, because the power struggles are between the parents there. So they understand this quite early in life. Now these 3 C's are very important if we want our children to be better adjusted. And if you excessively monitor them, like, what we call as helicopter parenting, hovering over them, or you kind of the other extreme where some parents want to remove all the obstacles, everything, there should not be any obstacles their way. We call it as snowplow parenting. Now both of these have a negative impact, as in, how do children feel about themselves? They feel very inadequate. You're not giving them that confidence to deal with the world. You're making them dependent. How do they feel? Do they feel that they are worthy? No, because you don't give them that confidence to do things on their own. Now, both these parenting styles are not okay. So don't hover over them. Don't again remove all the obstacles. Sometimes small little failures are necessary, because that is where they also learn to pick up. Otherwise, how do they learn? So small little failures are also okay. Because I always say that there are 3 ingredients which are very important for an individual to be successful in life. One is self-esteem. How do I feel about myself? The I is developing. What messages you go, how you respond to them, how you make them feel is very important here. The second is feelings of adequacy, and the third is confidence. And if these 3 are given through our parenting, Nothing like it. And it all begins in the way we respond to our children. So we need to understand that our children, especially the kindergarten and then when they get into formal schooling, there is a change. They are now developing their own interests, they are exploring independence more and more, and they are also slowly experiencing failures too. So small little failures are okay. Like I said, they need to learn to pick up from there. It is not going to be win-win all the time. Sometimes there are setbacks. So how do I handle these setbacks? So if the child is feeling bad about something, then you need to sit down and talk. What is it that has happened? What has upset you? How we could do it in a different way. You need to connect before you correct. This is very important. How do we connect before we connect? And why is this important? And how will a child connect with a parent? It is only when you set limits. You have to set boundaries. It can't be like he can be all over the place or she can be all over the place. So if they have to connect with you, you have to connect with them, then it's important that you set limits. And when you set limits, empathize at the same time. Don't simply set limits being in that powerful position as an adult. It's not about you being an adult or being very powerful there. It's about when I set these limits, if I put myself in my child's shoes, how would I look at it? How would I feel? Because we always need to understand that when children are acting it out or throwing a tantrum, why they throw a tantrum is because they feel disconnected. So how do you connect with them again? All you need to do is something that has gone wrong and the child is all upset about that. Now, instead of saying, see, you did not do it the right way, if you can just tell the child, come, let's see how we can do it together. Come, let's see how we can do it. You're connecting with the child. You know, this connection is very important. So more than correcting, I think what is important is for us to connect. And when we connect, a lot of things will fall in place. See, always remember when things go wrong, that means the child is feeling disconnected. The minute they feel that they are being understood, you say that, the child may say that, I don't want to go to bed early. Well, all you can do is, yes, I know even as little children, we too did not want to go to bed early, but we had no choice, but we had to go to bed. So how can you just um, say it in a way that it doesn't end in a kind of a situation where you start shouting and screaming? Nothing. You don't have to do any kind of shouting or screaming. All that you need to do is say things very calmly but very firmly. You wish that you could play longer. I know it's bedtime. And I know that it will make you sad. The minute you say, I know that it will make you sad, the child feels understood. Oh, the child is actually feeling sad. You're verbalizing that for the child. So when you verbalize, the child feels understood. This connection is something that's very, very important. I remember my daughter, when she was around that age, I had given her my peace of mind and she was not happy with it. So what she did was she drew a picture of me, and then she drew a picture of me in the balcony, and then she came and showed it to me. And I said, I asked her, what is this? And she says that it is you. This is the tone that she used. She said, it is you. I said, what's Mama doing in the balcony? And then she says, no, I put you out on the balcony. I said, why? No, because I didn't like the way you reacted. Well, you don't have to take offense when a child says, the child is the father of man. There are a lot of things that we can also take from them. They have a mind of their own. Not that adults are right all the time. And I said, how come Dada's picture is not there? And she says, he understands. I said, okay, then can we just, can you just tell me what is it that you didn't like about what I said? And then she did make a mention of something. I don't remember the exact thing, but she did talk about it. And I said, okay, I'm sorry about it then. And I gave her reasons as to why I did it and why I had said that. And we connected. See, there are times when we set limits. There are times when it's also okay for the child also to point out and say that I didn't like what you said or didn't like what you did. And when the child says that, I think it's important for us to reflect. See, ultimately, the end of it, what has happened is I have acknowledged her feelings, she has acknowledged my feelings, and we have connected. This is what is very important. We also need to model compassionate, respectful relationships. Because especially once children enter formal schooling, there is a chance that the child either could become a bully or the child could be bullied. Now, if you want to bully proof your children, then it's important that they grow in an environment which is loving, where they see parents being respectful towards each other too, where the relationships, in their relationships, it is not one of power or force. You don't use power or force to control them. See, any discipline methods where you use a lot of power over the child also learns to use power over others. And you find that when do children kind of get into bullying behavior? When they have parents who beat them, parents who use very harsh methods. Children are beaten with a belt, children are the kind of comments that are passed. So there is a lot of power, there is a lot of force, there is a lot of control that is exercised. See, if we want our children not to become bullies, then it's important that we also model the same kind of behavior to them. And how do we model that? Now, this is something that happens between the parents. So, how respectful are parents with each other? How do they communicate with each other? How do they relate with each other? Now, these things are being observed by the children.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
We can see only second slide, ma'am.
Second, no, 1 minute. What happened?
You are in second slide.
Now?
No, ma'am.
I don't know the. Just a minute. Should I?
Once
It
you
may not
stop,
be, it may not be true. Miss Deepa, are you feeling the same?
Yes, Father. It is at the second slide itself.
But I have the first the present slide. It's okay, no problem. I think people are
okay,
following you in your.
Okay.
okay, okay.
Yes. So we need to understand that children misbehave when they feel bad about themselves and when they are disconnected from us. So if parents resort to spanking, then you're actually aggravating that bad feeling. And with that, comes humiliation, with that comes low self-esteem. And it's not necessary that you have to spank them, because I remember my daughter coming back home one day and telling me that, Mama, why don't you beat me? And I said, for what? And then she says, no, my teacher said this in the class, that if we are what we are today, it is because of the beatings that we got from our parents. And the child did not realize what a beating is. And she comes back and says that, why don't you beat me? See, modeling um, compassionate behavior, respectful relationship is very important, because you're also conveying the message that people who love you can also hurt you if you do that. And the long term implications are they will either become very submissive and meek in violent relationships, or they will be prone to depression, or they themselves will become violent as adults. I think instead it's important that in any situation, if we can just reason out with them, but reasoning out takes a lot of energy and effort, but it's worth it. See, this whole thing of dialoguing with children, having a dialogue with them, talking to them, reasoning it out with them, is not something that we think we should do when they reach, say, 14 or 15. It is something that they have to get used to right from the time they are small. Then you have less trouble when they reach the adolescent years. I think the whole focus should be on maintaining and strengthening the connection. That should be a priority. How do I strengthen the connection with my child? You just have to get down to their level and say what you kind of has happened in that situation. If your child has pushed the other one, then I think all you need to do is you pushed them, pushing hurts. Just tell your brother or your sister to move. Put your arm around their shoulder and say that if something has upset the child, just put your arm around his shoulder and say something has upset you. The child may not want to say what has upset him, but then the child may cry. It's okay. You have your hand around his or her shoulder. So comforting it is. See, it's this is something that is very important. And if your child is again defiant, let's understand it's a relationship problem. These things can happen from time to time, but at such times, what's important for us parents is to just stop and think and see, how do I strengthen this relationship? Because the problem is with our connection now. So how do I connect with this child rather than focusing on how do I kind of teach him a lesson? How do I get him around now? Now, if your focus is on how do I get him around now, you are furthering that power struggle, deepening that conflict. But all we need to do is connect with the child. So just need to stop and think, how do I strengthen this connection now? And when you turn a situation into a power struggle, the conflict becomes more. So that's not what we want. See, it ultimately comes down to connecting with the child. So every moment that is available to us, if we can just connect with them. How often do we praise their accomplishments? How often do we do this? If you want them to feel proud, you need to praise their accomplishments, even if it is something that's very small. You want them to feel competent, then you need to allow them to do things independently. They may not do it perfectly. They may not do it with the kind of perfection that you have in mind. But with the little development that has happened, definitely they will be able to do it to the extent that it is possible for them. So will you allow them to do things independently? Now, when I say allow them to do things independently, it's so important that children, even if they don't do it in a certain way, it's still important that you give them an opportunity to do it. You want to make them feel good about themselves, then I think you should stop the comparisons. Give them opportunities to participate in different activities. I remember this school where every child had to participate in every program that they had. This is where children also slowly begin to understand, okay, this is something that I can do, this is something I don't want to do, this is something that I'm not interested in, or this is something that I am very good at, because there is a feedback that follows that. Rather than just making, comparisons, passing certain unfavorable comments, because when you do that, they feel worthless. Because let's understand that children of that age, they believe what you say. You're in your fit of anger, you may say, I feel like throwing you out of the window. The child actually thinks that you're going to throw him or her out of the window. And sometimes you say that, you're so pathetic because you're so tired of probably the kind of work that you're engaged in. And then, or sometimes you say you're such a burden. I've heard a lot of parents say these kind of things in a fit of anger. Maybe you may not really mean it, but understand, for the child, it is something that is very serious. Making comments like, why are you acting like a baby? And especially, like, if she or he has a younger sibling, then you're making that comparison, saying that, why are you acting like a baby? Well, of course, a 4-year-old is still a baby. It is as good as giving a physical punishment. It is as good as a, a spank that you give a child, even if it is just words. It's equivalent to your spanking. I think your parents also have to choose words very carefully. Let them know that you love them, but you don't like what they are doing, what they are engaging in. Catch them when they are being good. You want to see certain behaviors in them. You wish to see that this is what they are like. Then catch them when they are being good. How many times do you react negatively in a given day? Ask this question. How often do you shout at them? Now, to boost their self-esteem, to enhance their positive emotions, it's important that when the child is doing something, child has done something on his or her own. Say the child has picked up the toys or picked the books or done something. Or maybe has observed you in the kitchen and the child has tried to wash one or two things for you, and you realize that it is washed and kept there. Now, you just have to tell the child, praise the child, tell the child, just a minute. Just a moment, my battery is gone. Yes. So when they have done something on your own, I think it's important that you kind of praise them for what they have done. It's like, I saw you waiting for your turn. That was really nice of you. It was terrific. It was wonderful. See, when you use these encouraging words, the impact or the outcome is you will see more and more of that good behavior. I think it's important that we praise them when they have done certain things right. But very often They get the attention only when they do something wrong, not when they do something right. So if we want them to exhibit good behavior, then we need to compliment them. We need to compliment them maybe with words. It could be a hug, it could be a pat. See, then we will see them growing in those behaviors which we wish to see. This is something that I tell parents. It's important that you keep bedtime very boring. It's important for your children to follow a sleep time ritual at least 2 hours before they go to bed. Quieten down. Maybe you can even reduce the brightness of the light, and you can read to them. That's beautiful. You can read to them. You can read to them stories. But when you read stories, please do not read stories where you talk about ghosts and you talk about things which are eerie and which will kind of scare them, because they will relive that in their dreams. So when you read out stories to them, let it be something that is very pleasant. But the sleep ritual has to be followed. That means you can't watch your serials, you can't, engage in certain things which you would. If you want your children to go to bed early, then you also have to go to bed early with them. It's important that you set limits because this gives them psychological security. So there is nothing like being a cool mom and dad. Dad is dad, mom is mom. Your parents, and parents have to set boundaries, parents have to set limits. When you set limits, they feel psychologically secure, because ultimately that's the whole thing. They have to operate from that space of psychological security. And in all of this, fathers do matter, because for the girls it's their first encounter with a man, and for the boys he's the first hero. And fathers and mothers have a different perspective to life. The way each one approaches life is very different. The father's rough and tumble game is very necessary. So if a girl has to grow up with, um, who feels bold, who feels resilient, who feels that she can manage life on her own independently, then the father's role is very important. At the same time, if the boy has to understand what it is to be caring, nurturing, and comforting, then the mother's approach is important. So here, fathers do matter, and more if the fathers are involved more in their children's lives rather than just the mother. For the girl, she has a role model there, and the boys will have less trouble in school when the fathers get more involved, because right from toilet training to everything, fathers have a slightly lenient, uh, uh, they kind of are a little lenient when it comes to certain things. So maybe if the mother is very strict, the father will compensate for it by being a little playful. If the father is very strict, then the mother will have to, the mother can compensate for it by being a little playful. So this is how a kind of a balance is struck. So it's so important that fathers are also involved in their, children's lives, because they give a different perspective to life altogether. So childhood comes only once. Let it not be, if I had my child to raise all over again. We can't turn back the years. And what an adult it goes back to what the child has experienced as the person has experienced as a child. So I think we all need to give our children beautiful memories for their future. And I guess that should be also the goal of parenting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your inspirational talk. May I request Ma'am Deepti Karkada to take over for the question answer session.
Good evening, everyone. As we begin the question answer session, please note we have already enabled the chat option. If you have any queries, kindly you can type it in the chat box. If you're unable to type, please raise hands and we will enable your mics. Parents, please note if you have any queries, you can even raise your hands. We will unmute you and you can ask your question. Yes. Parent of Ashant Kunda, you can ask your question.
Very good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. My son is studying in KG2 and he's a 5.5-year-old now. Okay.
Mhm.
So my question to you, yeah, as you said in your presentation, that he even now sometimes tries to talk like or act like just because he wants to, like a small child. So I have a habit of telling him, why are you behaving like that? Don't do like that. Don't talk like that.
Mm.
Yeah, you said we are not supposed to do that, but the thing is, when he is using such words like a small child, uh, I feel little irritated.
Does he
So
have
I
a
tell,
sibling?
yeah, yes, ma'am.
Does he have a sibling?
No, he is not having, but he is having a cousin who is
You all
1 year
stay
old.
together?
He daily meets him because
Ah,
he is sick. Yeah.
okay. So probably when the cousin is around who's younger to him, how does everybody kind of respond to that child?
Yes.
It's the your son watches that everybody is kind of around that child because he's a little child. So he thinks that by doing it, I will also get that attention. So just understand, don't focus on his speech there. He will simply overcome that. Just understand why he's doing it at that moment. Why is he doing it? He just needs a little bit of my attention. So all you need to do is, okay, I think, come, let's play, or let's sit and do something. So would you like to play a game, or would you like to tell me something, or would you like to read a story, or do you want me to read a story? That is it. See, you don't have to focus on his speech.
Yes.
The problem is when we focus on the speech, we are actually kind of reinforcing it. See, the child is unable to tell you that, see, Mama, you are not paying attention to me. He cannot. So he will express it in this manner by talking like a little baby, maybe, the baby talk that he is doing, so that he can get your attention. The minute he gets your attention, he feels good. So don't focus on his speech, but just understand that he's trying to get your attention. That means you need to pay a little attention to him at that moment. Because there is a little bit of insecurity there when the little cousin is around. Because everybody's attention is there and not on me. That is it.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have the next parent, parent of Alena D'Souza. You can ask your question.
Yeah, there is a very beautiful question
Yes.
about gender stereotyping and gender equality. Um, this is very interesting. Um, if you talk about gender equality, it boils down to what does a child get to see at home? Does a child get to see the father getting up and making breakfast and mama coming and having her breakfast? So, is the household chore being shared by the parents? This is one thing. And I think when children grow up in such egalitarian families where the roles are not like because you're a man, then you need to be doing this, or because you're a woman, you need to be doing this. And also about how the father treats the mother or how the mother treats the father. Now, in action, in words, all this can convey the message about gender equality to children. It starts with the kind of household chores that are shared by the parents. In my home, if you take, my child has grown up, for her there is no difference between a man and a woman here. Well, whether she would find that kind of a partner in future, I do not know, but She has grown up in that kind of a home. Yes. Now we have to role model this. It is like even when the little boy in the class, sometimes little girls have long hair, and if these boys pull their hair, this is a very common thing that happens. Now, it may be fun, yes, but at the same time, the boys also need to understand that it hurts. It's like I remember these two children sitting and playing together, and then the mother of this boy says, you need to be very gentle with her because she's a girl. I think this is a wrong message. You need to be gentle with everybody, whether it's a girl or a boy. It's not that you have to be gentle because she's a girl, or you can be a little harsh with him because he's a boy. It's not that. See, these small little things, but it conveys a big message to the children.
Yeah, ma'am. I had a question. My daughter, she is quite good in her curriculum in the studies, but I've noticed certain things when I ask her, okay, you can pick this or you can pick the other one, like how you mentioned about choices.
Hmm.
So, like, suppose particular clothes are there, and then she would just say, "You choose. Anything is okay for me." So, I want her to, be able to take the choices by herself.
Okay, then the
And
next
then,
line that you could say is, when she says you choose, then you can say that, okay, this is what I like. Now, can you tell me what you like? Which one do you like the most?
okay,
So if there is an apple and an orange, and the child says, okay, you choose, because the child is okay with both. But which one do you like the most? So definitely there is either I like orange the most, or at this part of the day, which one would you like to eat?
all right, okay, right. Thank you, ma'am.
One question, how do we say no without hurting the child? Um, like I gave you that example, this is something that is very common in most of the households when children are expected to go to bed at a certain time. They don't want to, and even us as children, we didn't want to go to bed early. Like, we just wish that the day would go on and on, especially if there's something very interesting happening, or maybe there are cousins and friends around. Now, how do you say no? If it's time for bed and the child says, no, I want to play, then the parent says, no, you're not playing. Now, instead of using that word no, you can, like I said, acknowledge their feelings and say that, yeah, I know that you would like to play longer, but it's time to go to bed. So you are actually saying no, but you're not using the word no. It's just that you're not using the word no, but you're very politely putting it across to the child, while at the same time you're acknowledging his feelings also, saying that I know that it'll be very nice for us to kind of go on, but it's time for us to go to bed. So all of us are going to bed right now.
We'll move on to parent of Atharva Ullal. You can
Good evening,
unmute and
ma'am.
speak.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. I loved your presentation, your session. It was very apt, and you spoke about what we actually deal with in our day to day lives. My question to you is, do you have any specific advice for single parents?
Yes, single parent. Being a single parent is hard, but at the same time, you don't have to think that you also have to kind of play the role of uh, the father. Um, but at the same time, um, how old is your child?
He's 4.5, ma'am. He's in KG 1.
But is there a grandparent at home?
Yes, yes. Grandparents are there. So far, there are no
Okay, so
issues,
there
but
is a
I just want to know,
grandfather.
do I have to be? Yes, grandfather is there.
Okay, then grandfather is a big role model.
Yeah. I just want to know if there is any specific advice from your side that we should inculcate.
You don't have to be under that kind of pressure.
Okay.
It's not necessary at all for you to be under that kind of pressure because you're a single parent, because in your case there is a grandfather who can be a role model for the child. There is a male figure in the house
Yes.
where the child is exposed to, where the child can interact, so you don't have to be under any kind of pressure. But as long as you are not pressurized and you kind of take it out on the child,
Okay.
as long as you don't do that, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
But
Thank
only
you so
thing
much.
is, I mean, if I can be open here, if at
Yeah.
all you kind of choose to find a partner in the future, it's very
Yeah.
important that you at some point prepare the child for it, because that's necessary. And if at all at that point of time you need to seek some kind of professional help, I think it will also be nice if you kind of take that help if you wish to, have a partner in the future.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Last two questions. I I'll request parent of Roger to ask you a question.
Can you hear me? Mother of Chris here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, my question to ma'am is like I have my child in grade one, and he's a very naughty boy, but at the same time, very intelligent, good in his academics, loves school, class, and everything. Only problem with him is now to writing. How do I get him to write is my big challenge. He loves questions only to tick mark, cross mark, connect, all these stuff. Reading, everything is fine. But when it comes to writing English, he just starts his tantrum. So even if I have to, it takes me around like half an hour, 45 minutes to just convince him to write just a one line. And it's calm, cool, but I can manage that. But it's very stressful. I cannot do this every day. It's very difficult. Earlier, I used to condition him with the television time. I used to tell him, you finish your classwork, and then I will get you your TV. You can start that. So you finish your work and then you do it. But now I've relocated to India here, and I do not want him to get into the TV watching habit like cartoons and everything, because he knows in turn how to bully me to get into watching TV. So I want to just tell him, I've told him that in India we do not get all your cartoons here. So he's quite fine with that. He loves playtime, like, playing out. So now the thing is, how do I get him to write? Especially English. Rest everything is fine with him. Just the writing part, the tantrum starts, and the.
No,
Uh,
but when you say writing, I mean all other subjects also the child has to write.
he does not mind Kannada, English. He does it. He loves it. It's okay. But when that English comes,
But why
just
only English? I mean, is it that it's a lot or
he finds it too much. The alphabets, he finds it very lengthy, long words. He finds it. I don't know what it's there in his mind, but he knows alphabets. He knows to read. He when it comes to write after that, after me convincing him, he writes it very nicely. But to just get him to put his pen to that book it takes me that long time.
and it's only English?
It's only English, yeah.
Then I think you will have to kind of portion that and not, make him sit down all at once to write the entire thing, but that has to be kind of distributed. So you can just kind of decide with him as to how much he would like to write at this point. And let him decide, okay, I'm going to write about a paragraph. Let him just write about a paragraph. Then
Okay.
probably another paragraph he will write that at a later time. So let him not write the entire thing all at once.
Okay, I'm right now. I have ended up in that situation. So what I do is I show him a page, like 4 questions, for example. That's the
Huh,
homework. If he has to do like 6 questions, I show him all the six, and
huh,
then he does not start. He starts his tantrum. So then I just tell him, I give him a choice. You
hmm,
decide how much you want, but I want you to complete this and I have this uploaded to the teacher. And
huh.
then he brings it down from 6 to 5, and then when he actually starts writing, he'll say, I'll do only 2, and then it
Okay,
comes down
doesn't
to
matter.
1.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But when he writes, is the
Yeah.
writing legible?
Yeah, it's legible. It's legible, and there also he starts fussing, but then one or two shoutings, and then he's like he just wants to finish it up, and then he puts his condition. Okay, I finished this. Remember your word. You told me that you'll allow me to play. I'm like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I'm
that is
fine.
very
I'm fine with you
important.
like
If
that.
you have promised him something,
Yeah,
you
it
will
does.
have
It
to
does.
give it.
Yeah, yeah. He gets it everything done, but
Yes,
that's the
yes.
struggle that I do have. And then contradicting to that respond of yours that I allow him to bring that down to his choice.
Hmm.
What happens is then the teacher, like, we have a deadline to submit these things. So
Hmm.
in case I don't finish that, then the other subjects are again there to complete. So it becomes pressurizing again.
Can,
So
is it possible for you to get in touch with the teacher and he can have this kind of a contract with his teacher?
okay. Okay, I did that yesterday. In fact, to the teacher, I asked, "Can I write the questions?" and the child writes the answer.
No, 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 no,
It
not
was
that
quite
way, not that
embarrassing.
way. The
But
kind of deal that he has with you, can the same thing be transferred to the teacher? So there is
well,
a contract
I
between
have
him and the teacher.
yeah, I have this one suggestion. I just didn't place it yet to the teacher, but I thought of telling the teacher to announce it in the class, like your completion of your work will give you 10 points or
Yes,
5 stars today. Those are completed, yes,
exactly.
then you get. So I just have this suggestion to the teacher, which I have told her, but because I just could not relate it to her yet, but I've just sent an WhatsApp to her that I'm
No,
getting
but
back to you with the
it's
suggestion,
nice.
and he
It's
loves
nice
that
if you
actually.
can kind of connect with the teacher
Yeah.
because it's always a
Okay.
collaborative effort, not just
Okay.
of the parent. In situations like this, it's important that there is a contract between the child and the teacher as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And sometimes it kind of becomes easy when the contract is between the child and
Exactly.
the teacher.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I
Fine.
think you can make a request to the teacher.
Right. Right. I
But
will. I
otherwise, what you're doing is perfectly fine. Breaking it down and then getting him to do and then making sure that what privileges you kind of want to give him and what he kind of asked for it is given to him at the end of it, and I think all that is perfectly fine. It's like I have little children who have told me sometime that I have writing allergy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am Deepti. Showing gratitude is one of the simplest, yet most powerful things human can do for each other. May I request Ma'am Priya Seravo to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Gratitude can transform common days into Thanksgivings, turn routine jobs into joy, and change ordinary opportunities into blessings. With this thought, I, Ms. Priya Seravo, take this opportunity and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this occasion. On behalf of the management and staff of St. Aloysius Gonzaga School, first of all, I extend my most sincere thanks to the Lord Almighty for showering His choicest blessings on us. I wish to express my hearty gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Shalini Ayappa, for her words of inspiration. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Now,
you, Priya.
now, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Now, I'm confident that the parents will be able to connect with their children better and strengthen their bond. My deep sense of appreciation to our principal, Reverend Father Melvin Anil Lobo SJ. His able guidance has always encouraged us. Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
I owe special gratitude to our Vice Principal, Mrs. Laurel D'Souza, for her support, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
I acknowledge the support extended by the coordinators of kindergarten section and class 1 and 2, Ma'am Aparna Suresh and Ma'am Sushruta. I extend my sincere thanks to all our parents for their excellent cooperation and for making this program a success. Last but not the least, my heartfelt thanks to all my dear colleagues. Thank you once again. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Ma'am Priya. Thank you, dear parents, for joining us today to make this program a grand success. I, Deepa Sequera, signing off. Take care, stay safe. Thank you once again.